There comes a strange moment in your life, a moment you don't recognize until it collapses on you. Not a dramatic collapse, not a breakdown, just a quiet, almost invisible realization. Nothing you achieve feels like it used to. You accomplish something you once dreamed about, something you used to imagine would change everything. And for a few seconds, maybe even a few hours, you feel something close to satisfaction. But then it fades, not slowly, not gradually, it just disappears. Like it was never there in the first place. You look at your accomplishment, your progress, your new milestone, and instead of feeling meaning, you feel a strange hollowness inside your chest. It's as if your mind whispers, "Is this all?" No one prepared you for this moment. You were raised to believe in a simple equation. Ambition, right arrow success, right arrow meaning, right arrow happiness, but life rarely works in equations. And meaning has never been something you can manufacture on demand. Emil Cioran understood this better than anyone. He believed the modern world sold a lie, the lie that achievement cures emptiness. That if you keep climbing, keep achieving, keep improving, the void inside you will eventually close. But Cioran knew the truth. The void doesn't close. You simply learn to walk around it. You don't realize this when you're younger. Back then, the mere idea of success felt intoxicating. Dreams felt magical. Visions of the future felt full of color and promise. You thought the problem was your lack of progress. You thought meaning would arrive once you made it. Once you reached a place you could point to and say, "Now I'm finally enough." But when you get there, when you finally stand in the place you once romanticized, something quietly breaks inside you, and the breaking is painful because it's silent. You don't collapse, you don't scream, you don't cry. You just stand there looking at the life you built and nothing inside you moves. No spark, no joy, no fulfillment. Just a dull, heavy awareness that you've climbed the mountain and the top looks exactly like the bottom. This is the moment Cioran wrote about, the moment when achievement stops giving meaning because the source of your emptiness was never external to begin with. It was internal. It lived in your mind long before your success arrived. It lived in your expectations. It lived in the stories you were told. It lived in the illusions you built to survive your younger years. And now, with every new achievement, you peel back another layer of truth. You can change your circumstances. You can change your environment. You can change your status. You can change your income. You can change your habits. But you cannot escape your consciousness. You cannot outrun the part of yourself that feels restless even in moments of victory. You cannot silence the voice that asks uncomfortable questions at the worst possible time. You cannot distract yourself forever from the truth that meaning cannot be earned like a trophy. It must be discovered within you, or perhaps, as Cioran believed, it might not exist at all. This is where your journey begins, not in achievement, not in success, not in progress, but in the uncomfortable acceptance that you cannot fill an internal void with external accomplishments. That is the first sign you're waking up. There's a strange pattern in your life, one you've noticed but never fully admitted. Every time you set a goal, you genuinely believe that reaching it will finally silence the restlessness inside you. You convince yourself, if I get this one thing, everything will make sense. If I fix this problem, I'll finally feel whole. If I reach this level, the emptiness will disappear. And for a moment, the fantasy feels real. You picture yourself on the other side of achievement, living with clarity, certainty, meaning, peace. But life has a way of breaking fantasies more gently than you expect. Not with pain, not with tragedy, but with indifference. You reach the goal, the job, the income, the relationship, the skill, the body, the lifestyle, and for a moment you feel a flicker of satisfaction. It's small, it's fragile, it's temporary, and then it's gone. It dissolves so quietly you barely feel the moment it leaves. One day you wake up and the achievement that once felt monumental now feels like a normal Tuesday. You try to tell yourself it's normal, that humans adapt, that ambition requires the next step, that progress demands new challenges, but deep down a quieter truth begins to whisper, why does nothing change inside me? Cioran understood this emptiness better than any modern philosopher. He believed that the tragedy of ambition isn't failure, it's success. Because success forces you to confront a devastating realization. Your inner emptiness is not a problem of the world. It is a problem of existence. You feel it every time your achievements fail to heal you. You feel it each time a victory turns into another void. You feel it in the silence after reaching a milestone, a silence that feels louder than any disappointment. People around you don't understand this. They tell you to be grateful. They tell you to celebrate. They tell you you're doing well. But gratitude doesn't cure existential hunger. Celebration doesn't erase the void. And doing well means nothing to a consciousness that feels hollow even after winning. You start to see the cycle clearly. 1. Desire gives you hope. 2. Pursuit gives you distraction. 3. Achievement gives you seconds of relief. 4. Emptiness returns even heavier than before. And each round steals a little more innocence, a little more belief in progress, a little more trust in the idea that meaning is waiting somewhere ahead. The more you achieve, the more you realize achievements don't touch the deepest parts of you. They change your circumstances, yes, your status maybe, your lifestyle definitely, but they do not change your interior world, not the restless part, not the quiet dissatisfaction, not the unnameable ache that lives beneath everything you do. Cioran would say you're not failing, you're waking up, because only a conscious mind notices the emptiness behind achievement. Most people spend their entire lives numbed by distractions. They never reach enough milestones to notice the pattern. But you've seen it up close. You've tasted success and discovered the flavor fades instantly. You've chased meaning and found that meaning dissolves the moment you hold it. You've climbed the ladder only to realize it's leaning against a wall that leads nowhere. This is not depression. This is not failure. This is not lack of gratitude. This is awareness. Painful, heavy, unwanted awareness, but awareness nonetheless. And once you see the emptiness behind every goal, you cannot unsee it. There's a lie you've lived with for years. It didn't appear suddenly. It wasn't taught to you directly. It grew slowly, quietly, through repetition. The lie says, meaning exists, but only after your next achievement. You've lived as if your life is a staircase, each step a goal, each goal a promise, each promise a whisper that meaning is almost within reach. You become convinced that your next milestone is the missing puzzle piece. If I earn more, I'll finally feel secure. If I look better, I'll finally feel confident. If I build more status, I'll finally feel respected. If I become more productive, I'll finally feel worthy. If I fix this flaw, I'll finally feel whole. And it's always the next goal, never the one you've already reached. No matter how many boxes you check, your mind finds a new one to chase. This is not ambition. Not drive, not growth. It's survival. Because if you stop chasing, you might have to face a truth that terrifies you. Meaning cannot be found in the future if it doesn't exist in the present. But instead of confronting this, you cling to the fantasy that the next achievement will save you. Cioran devoted his life to studying this trap, this constant reaching, this endless postponement of inner peace. He called it the illusion of the future. A beautiful lie we cling to because facing the emptiness within us feels unbearable. You tell yourself you're almost there, almost fulfilled, almost enough, almost satisfied, almost, but almost never becomes now. The moment you reach the thing you believed was the cure, you feel an old, familiar sensation rising inside you, restlessness. It creeps in quietly, a tightening in your chest, a subtle dissatisfaction, a question forming in your mind. Why doesn't this feel different? You tell yourself maybe you picked the wrong goal, maybe you need something bigger, maybe you didn't push far enough, maybe you didn't choose the right dream, so you set another goal, and the cycle continues. You think you're progressing, but in reality, you're stuck in a loop where the finish line keeps moving each time you approach it. It's a treadmill disguised as a staircase. And here's the part no one warns you about. The more successful you become, the more trapped you feel. Because each achievement proves that meaning doesn't live where society promised it would. More money didn't change your internal world. More status didn't cure your loneliness. More productivity didn't quiet your mind. More accomplishments didn't silence the feeling that something is missing. The tragedy isn't that you're failing. The tragedy is that you're winning and the victory feels empty. Cioran would tell you this is not your fault. You were conditioned to chase meaning like a prize, as if existence itself holds a secret and your job is to unlock it. But meaning isn't waiting at the top of the mountain. It's not hiding behind achievements. It's not something you magically gain when your life improves. Meaning is either felt now or not at all. You can change your goals, change your job, change your body, change your relationships, change your lifestyle. But if you don't change the way you experience existence, you will always feel one goal away from meaning, always close, always reaching, never arriving. This is the quiet suffering of the modern mind. You're not broken, you're aware. And awareness will always feel like a burden before it becomes a strength. There's a moment in your life, maybe it's happening right now, where something inside you quietly collapses. Not your work ethic, not your discipline, not your ambition, something deeper. It's the collapse of belief, the belief that success will eventually save you. You don't tell anyone about this collapse. How could you? From the outside, you're doing well, you're moving forward, you're achieving. People praise your progress. They assume you feel proud, fulfilled, motivated. But inside, there's a heaviness that grows with every accomplishment. It starts as a soft whisper. Why doesn't this feel like I thought it would? Then it becomes a dull ache, a quiet nausea that sits in the background of your mind, a question you don't want to confront. What if nothing I achieve ever feels enough? Emil Cioran understood this inner collapse better than any modern thinker. He saw success not as a solution, but as a mirror that reflects the emptiness we hope achievement will hide. And when that mirror finally shows you the truth, you don't break. You simply go quiet. You still go to work. You still chase goals. You still perform, but there's a detachment now, a numbness, a sense of drifting, not because you're weak, but because you've outgrown the illusions that once kept you moving. You no longer believe the next milestone will fill the void. You no longer believe the next accomplishment will bring meaning. You no longer believe the future will deliver the fulfillment the present refuses to give. And that realization is devastating. Because once the illusion collapses, you are left face to face with a truth most people never confront. You've been living on emotional credit, borrowing excitement from the future to avoid feeling the emptiness of the present. Every goal was a distraction. Every dream was a temporary anesthetic. Every achievement was a brief hit of meaning that dissolved before it reached your core. You thought success would build you, but it only stretched the distance between who you are and who you thought you would become. This creates a unique kind of pain, a pain that isn't loud, isn't dramatic, isn't visible. It's quiet, deep, psychological. You carry it in your posture, in your silence, in your eyes. People say you look tired, but you're not physically exhausted. You're existentially exhausted. You've been running on hope that the next achievement would finally make everything make sense. But now you know clarity never arrives through success. It arrives through confrontation. Confronting the fact that your life is filled with motion, but very little meaning. That you've achieved almost everything you once wanted, yet you feel like a bystander in your own story. This realization doesn't ruin you. It wakes you. Because hidden inside this collapse is something Cioran believed in profoundly. Only when illusions break does real awareness begin. You were never meant to stay intoxicated with goals forever. At some point, life forces you to look inward, not at what you're achieving, but at who you are when the noise fades and the trophies lose their shine. This moment feels like a collapse, but it's actually the start of honesty. True, uncomfortable, unavoidable honesty. The kind of honesty that can either destroy you or set you free. There comes a point in your life when everything feels like repetition. Not because you're doing the exact same things every day, but because every experience feels the same inside. You wake up, you push forward, you chase goals, you improve yourself, you make progress, and yet it all feels strangely familiar, almost predictable, almost boring. You notice a pattern: every path you take, every direction you explore, every version of success you chase leads you back to the same internal place. A place where nothing feels meaningful for long. This is when life begins to feel like a loop. Not a physical loop, but an emotional one. You try new things, start new habits, pursue new dreams, build new skills, but the emotional outcome rarely changes. Cioran would say this isn't failure, it's clarity. Because once the illusion of progress breaks, your mind becomes painfully aware of something most people never see. External change cannot reach the place where your emptiness lives. You can decorate the loop. You can reorganize it. You can upgrade it. You can optimize it. You can run through it faster. But it is still a loop built from old expectations, old desires, old illusions, old fears, old stories you've told yourself, old versions of meaning that never belonged to you. This is why you feel tired even when your life looks full. This is why you feel restless even when you're accomplishing things. This is why you feel disconnected even when you're surrounded by achievements. The loop is not around you. It is inside you. And the more conscious you become, the more you notice how trapped you are. Not trapped by circumstances, but by your own mind. You feel it when you reach a new goal and it feels eerily similar to the last one. You feel it when you chase a new dream and the excitement dissolves exactly like before. You feel it when you try to reinvent yourself, but the reinvention leads you back to the same internal emptiness. Cioran believed this was the human tragedy. The mind follows you everywhere, even into your achievements, even into your improvements, even into your victories. You can change everything outside of you, but you carry yourself into every new experience. Your loneliness, your fears, your trauma, your contradictions, your doubts, your empty spaces. And because of that, life begins to feel like a rerun of a show you didn't ask to star in. You keep waiting for an episode that changes everything. A plot twist, a breakthrough, a moment of revelation. But the episode never comes. Not because life has no meaning, but because you've been searching for meaning in the wrong direction, forward. Cioran would say meaning doesn't live forward. It doesn't wait in the future. It doesn't sit behind your next accomplishment. Meaning, if it exists at all, lives sideways in the subtleties, in the quiet spaces, in the cracks between your expectations and reality. Most people never notice this. They stay asleep inside the loop. They never become aware enough to feel the repetition, but you feel it. You feel the sameness behind your achievements. You feel the monotony behind your progress. You feel the echo behind every experience. You feel the loop tightening each time you reach a new milestone. This awareness is painful. It strips away illusions you depended on. But it also gives you something rare, a chance to escape the loop. Not by changing your life, but by changing the way you experience it. Because the loop doesn't break from movement. It breaks from awareness, and you're finally awake enough to see it. There's a strange and painful truth you start to notice once you've achieved enough, changed enough, and grown enough to finally pause. Your mind always finds a way to disturb the peace you try to create. You can have a calm day, a calm environment, a calm routine, and somehow your thoughts will pull you into tension again. Not loudly, not dramatically, just with a quiet, familiar pull, a reminder of something undone, a fear you thought you outgrew, a memory you thought you buried, a disappointment that rises out of nowhere, a dissatisfaction that doesn't match anything happening in your life right now. At first, you assume it's stress. Then you assume it's your circumstances. Then you blame work, relationships, responsibilities. But eventually, if you're honest enough, aware enough, awake enough, you realize something terrifying. The unrest isn't coming from your life, it's coming from your mind. Cioran understood this phenomenon intimately. He believed that consciousness itself is the wound. Not the world, not the struggles, not the failures. It's the constant awareness. The non-stop self-observation, the mind's endless commentary on everything, even in moments that should be peaceful. And that's the part nobody prepares you for. You can fix your habits, you can upgrade your lifestyle, you can build a better environment, you can reach stability, you can even reach success, but your mind will still wander backward when it should move forward. It will still imagine problems when none exist. It will still replay conversations, analyze mistakes, invent anxieties, and create tension from thin air. You'll sit in a quiet room with nothing going wrong and still feel the faint echo of dissatisfaction. Why? Because the mind resists stillness. Stillness reflects truth. Stillness strips away distraction. Stillness forces you to face the deeper realities inside you. And most people, without realizing it, are terrified of that confrontation. So they fill their lives with noise, work, entertainment, ambition, stimulation, goals, distractions. Not because they are driven, but because they are running. Running from what? From 10 minutes of silence. From the internal disquiet they can no longer deny. From the thoughts that emerge when the world goes quiet. From the awareness that meaning isn't waiting anywhere outside of them. This is why every achievement eventually feels empty. Not because the goal was wrong, but because your mind cannot sit with contentment long enough to feel the meaning in it. You reach a milestone, and instead of settling into satisfaction, your mind immediately searches for flaws, discomfort, the next thing to fix, the next thing to improve, the next place to run. Cioran said that consciousness is the enemy of tranquility because the more aware you are, the harder it becomes to feel simple, uncomplicated happiness. A child can enjoy a sunny day. An adult notices the passing of time. A child can enjoy a victory. An adult thinks about the next challenge. A child can live in the moment. An adult remembers the past and fears the future. This is the curse of consciousness. You see too much, you feel too much, you understand too much, you interpret too much. And once you've crossed that threshold, you can't return to innocence. Peace becomes something you must fight for, not something that arrives naturally. It's not that meaning doesn't exist. It's that your mind refuses to sit still long enough to experience it. And until you confront the chaos inside you, no achievement, no routine, no success, no external change will bring you lasting peace. Because the disturbance isn't in your life, it's in your awareness. There comes a moment in your inner journey when something inside you finally breaks. Not your spirit, not your strength, but your belief in a story you carried your whole life. The story that meaning is something you earn, something you win, something you achieve, something you unlock like a reward at the end of effort. This is the lie you were raised on. Work hard, get results, feel fulfilled. Improve yourself, become better, right arrow, inherit meaning. Succeed, right arrow, become complete. Achieve, right arrow, become whole. It sounds logical, it sounds comforting, it sounds hopeful. But it collapses the moment you actually achieve anything real. Because every achievement proves the same uncomfortable truth. Meaning does not follow accomplishment. And accomplishment does not create meaning. This realization is brutal. It shatters the internal framework you built your identity on. It forces you to confront a truth most people spend their entire lives avoiding. You cannot solve existential emptiness by rearranging external circumstances. Cioran wrote that humans chase meaning the way addicts chase their next fix. Not because meaning exists, but because the chase distracts us from confronting the void within. And once the chase slows down, once you become conscious enough to observe the patterns, you start to see what's really happening. You weren't chasing meaning. You were running from meaninglessness. Every goal, every improvement, every success was a form of emotional anesthesia. Because the moment you stop moving, you feel the weight of existence pressing against your chest. A quiet heaviness, a shapeless anxiety, a sense of floating without direction, a lack of emotional gravity. This is why stillness scares you more than failure. It exposes the truth that meaning, if it exists at all, cannot be manufactured by progress, cannot be ordered like a package, cannot be created by willpower, cannot be earned through discipline. Meaning is not a system. Meaning is not a path. Meaning is not a prize. Meaning is a myth you were given so you wouldn't collapse under the weight of your own consciousness too early. So you try to create meaning yourself. You attach it to goals. You attach it to identity. You attach it to relationships. You attach it to success. You attach it to productivity. You attach it to your future. But meaning slips through your fingers every time. You think fixing one part of your life will create fulfillment, but as soon as you fix it, your mind redirects its hunger to another part. Another flaw, another missing piece, another unfinished chapter. It never ends, because the search for meaning is not about the world. It is about the mind's inability to accept emptiness. Cioran believed that once you see the truth that life might be inherently meaningless, you begin to live differently. Not worse, not hopelessly, differently. Instead of seeking meaning like a reward, you begin noticing something subtle, moments that feel meaningful but are not earned, not chased, not forced, not tied to achievement, moments that simply happen, a quiet morning, a conversation that feels genuine, a small act of kindness, a fleeting moment of peace, a thought that softens your chest instead of tightening it, a breath that feels lighter than the one before, a sensation of being alive without needing a reason. Meaning isn't something you reach. It's something you sometimes feel briefly, gently, unexpectedly. And for the first time, you stop demanding meaning and start noticing it where it naturally appears. You begin to live, not chase. You begin to experience, not achieve. You begin to simply exist without begging existence to justify itself. And in this shift, you discover a strange, quiet liberation. Meaning was never the point. Awareness was. There is a point, quiet, subtle, unexpected, where your entire relationship with life shifts. Not because you found meaning, not because you fixed yourself, not because you achieved something extraordinary, but because you finally stopped demanding that life give you what it never promised. You stop asking, what is the meaning of all this? And instead whisper, what if I don't need one? For the first time, you stop treating your existence like a puzzle to solve, a debt to repay, a performance to perfect, a mission to complete. You stop chasing life like it's running away from you, and you start seeing it for what it really is. A series of moments that feel nothing like your expectations, but perhaps everything like truth. Cioran believed that freedom comes not from discovering meaning, but from giving up the obsession with finding it. When you stop clawing at the universe for answers, you suddenly realize the universe was never withholding anything. You were simply demanding too much. For years, you measured your worth through achievement. You measured meaning through progress. You built your identity around the idea that one day, after enough effort, you would arrive at a version of yourself that finally felt complete. But you never arrived. And you don't need to, because completeness was never the goal. Here's the truth you've been circling around your entire life. Life isn't supposed to feel perfect. It's supposed to be lived, not understood, not mastered, not conquered, not optimized, just lived simply, quietly, consciously. The awakening happens when you stop trying to win existence and start experiencing it. You begin to see value in things you once ignored, the warmth of sunlight on your face, the feeling of breath entering your lungs. The moment you laugh and don't analyze why. The second you sit in silence and don't try to escape it. The comfort of being present without needing to be extraordinary. You stop looking for grand purpose and start noticing the micro moments of peace that were always there, hidden beneath your ambition. Cioran would say you are finally seeing life without filters, without illusions, without promises, without illusions of a future self who will somehow feel more alive than you are now. You stop chasing the horizon because you realize the horizon never moves closer. It moves with you. Meaning stops being a destination and becomes something softer, something that appears in small, fleeting flashes instead of overwhelming revelations. You begin to understand that your life didn't need to be fixed. It just needed to be witnessed. Your presence becomes deeper, your pace becomes slower, your expectations become lighter, your consciousness becomes calmer, not enlightened, not blissful. Just grounded, finally grounded. You look at your achievements and instead of asking why they feel empty, you accept that they were never meant to fill you. You look at your future and instead of trying to control it, you allow it to unfold. You look at yourself and instead of demanding perfection, you allow yourself to be human. The awakening isn't dramatic, it isn't loud. It isn't even satisfying in the way older versions of you hoped it would be. It's quiet, soft, almost invisible, but it is real. Because this time, you're no longer chasing life like someone terrified of missing its meaning. You're living it without needing to solve it, without needing to justify it, without needing it to be more than it is. And that, ironically, is the closest thing to meaning you will ever find. And now, as this journey closes, you're left with something subtle, not an answer, not a conclusion, not a revelation that fixes everything, but an understanding. A quiet understanding that life was never meant to be conquered, never meant to be mastered, never meant to be decoded like a hidden message. You were never meant to outrun your emptiness, nor numb it, nor bury it under achievements. You were meant to witness it, to feel it, to understand that it's part of being conscious, part of being human, part of being alive. Cioran didn't give solutions, and this series didn't either, because meaning isn't something handed to you like a gift. It's something you notice in rare moments, between breaths, in quiet spaces you used to avoid. And if you've made it this far, you already understand what most people never will. You don't need to chase life anymore. You don't need to demand meaning from it. You don't need to pretend everything makes sense. You're allowed to simply exist, to breathe, to feel, to live without needing a deeper purpose behind every moment. And sometimes that alone is enough. Thank you for being here, truly.